Chapter 2974. It is indeed at the supreme level. Its strength should be slightly weaker than the Supreme Wolf King after it went berserk. After observing Night Sorrow with the sea serpent's eye, he raised his golden heavenly halberd and charged forward. At the same time, he kept everyone else into his own space grotto heaven. Because this beast's strength is at the supreme level, the others can't fight against it at all. Staying outside is tantamount to courting death. Night Sorrow, your injuries have just recovered a little. You must be careful in battle. After being kept in the grotto heaven, Xiao Tianxian said with a solemn expression. Murong Zhenlu and the others also spoke. Facing a supreme-level beast, they are powerless. They can only use this method to cheer for Night Sorrow. Yuan Fengxue kept looking into the distance, hoping to see the shadow of Myriad Sword Sect. He is worried that something will happen to Myriad Sword Sect. Boom! Blocking in front of the strange beast, Night Sorrow waved his golden heavenly halberd and smashed it on one of its tentacles. Although Night Sorrow's figure looks very small compared to the beast, his strength is not small at all. With a smash of the golden heavenly halberd, the beast's hard as iron tentacle was immediately blasted into a large hole and the incoming tentacle was blasted back. On the surface of the tentacle, a lot of dark green liquid flowed out. From the looks of it, it should be the beast's blood. Awoo! After being injured by a blow, this beast with 8 tentacles, which is obviously different from an octopus, immediately went berserk. It crazily swung the other 7 uninjured tentacles and smashed them at Night Sorrow. Although these 7 tentacles are incomparably huge, they cooperate very well. Not only did they not interfere with each other, but they also formed a pincer attack on Night Sorrow. It feels like every tentacle is attacking him. From Night Sorrow's point of view, it is as if several mountains are smashing towards him. He has no room to dodge at all. Since there is no way to dodge, then let's face it head-on. Don't think that you are invincible just because you are big. I will kill you and help me advance further. Facing the concentrated attacks of the tentacles, Night Sorrow roared and used the 33 Heavens secret combat technique to increase his strength. After that, he wielded the golden heavenly halberd and unleashed the human spear and a version of the reincarnation spear art. This move was similar to the Myriad Sword Sect's unity of man and sword. Night Sorrow fused with the golden heavenly halberd and instantly became a huge heavenly halberd. With the power of the heavenly halberd, it blasted towards the many tentacles of the ferocious beast. Clang! 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 Although this beast was huge and had a tough body, its body was too big, which made the strength of its tentacles inferior to Night Sorrow's. He was blasted by the reincarnation spear technique that was one with the spear. 3 tentacles were instantly pierced through. In terms of raw power, the current Yishang was not at all inferior to this ferocious beast. Furthermore, in terms of physical strength and speed, he was clearly superior to his opponent. To a sovereign, this wild beast was an absolute overlord, but Night Sorrow didn't fear it at all. Roar! After being pierced by Night Sorrow's tentacles again, the wild beast became even angrier. This time, after a loud roar, it pulled its body and tentacles into the sand. After about 10 breaths, its entire body drilled out of the sand. What a behemoth! Even though Night Sorrow was experienced and knowledgeable, Night Sorrow couldn't help but praise the figure of this wild beast. On each tentacle of this wild beast, there were thousands of suction cups, and each suction cup was larger than Night Sorrow's unity of man and spear. In front of it, Night Sorrow was even smaller than an ant facing a giant dragon. Primordial true fire. Just as Night Sorrow was lamenting that this wild beast was too huge, the wild beast suddenly spoke in human language, and then suddenly spat out an extremely hot flame. This flame is so terrifying. I have to avoid its edge. When this flame was spat out, even Night Sorrow, who had an extremely strong body, felt like he was being roasted. He immediately used his movement technique to dodge. After becoming a supreme being, he was still using the same movement technique as before. At this moment, he felt that it wasn't enough. Although he dodged very quickly, he was still burned by some of the flames. After being burned by these flames, Night Sorrow immediately turned back into his human form. His entire body was burning, and his entire body was paralyzed. He couldn't move at all. Awoo! At this moment, the wild beast roared towards the sky and raised its foot to step on Night Sorrow, wanting to crush him to death. Brother Yi, be careful. In the space paradise, Jin Xian couldn't help but roar when he saw what happened to Night Sorrow. Everyone else was also worried about Night Sorrow. Even Yuan Fengshue's thoughts were pulled away from the myriad sword sect. Phoenix Battle Armor. Absorb the flames for me. I can use this flame to refine you into a sovereign artifact. At this moment, Night Sorrow suddenly roared and used the Phoenix Battle Armor on his body to absorb the flames. The Phoenix Battle Armor's predecessor was the Azure Phoenix Battle Armor refined by Jing Yun. Now, it had been refined into the Divine King's Peak Battle Armor. At this moment, after absorbing the terrifying flames, the Phoenix Battle Armor started burning. Night Sorrow's pain from being burned by the flames immediately disappeared, and he also recovered from his paralyzed state. After recovering, Night Sorrow held the golden heavenly halberd and suddenly blasted the lightning reincarnation spear above his head. After this move, terrifying lightning exploded around the reincarnation heavenly halberd. Night Sorrow, who was holding the reincarnation heavenly halberd, raised it and directly pierced through the wild beast's foot. After that, Night Sorrow held the golden heavenly halberd and floated above the void. The wild beast let out an earth-shattering roar. If you don't have any other skills, you can only be slaughtered by me. After a few exchanges, Night Sorrow had already figured out the wild beast's strength. This wild beast basically didn't have any divine soul power, and basically relied on its tyrannical body to fight. In terms of body, Night Sorrow wasn't weaker than others at all. When fighting with it, he wouldn't be at a disadvantage at all. At this point in the battle, he could already confirm that although this wild beast was terrifying, it shouldn't be his opponent. Woo! Facing Night Sorrow, the wild beast was already an honorable and had the ability to speak human language. However, it didn't. Instead it howled. Then, it opened its mouth and tried to swallow Night Sorrow. Not good. This attack looked very ordinary. But soon, Night Sorrow realized that something was wrong. This wild beast's attack was definitely not simple. It contained a very mysterious law. At the same time, he waved the golden heavenly halberd and attacked crazily, wanting to rely on his strength to escape. But this time, no matter how he attacked, he didn't achieve any effect. At this moment, Night Sorrow felt that even the heavens and earth could be swallowed. He couldn't escape at all. In the end, he couldn't resist and was swallowed by the wild beast. What kind of wild beast is this? Its previous attacks weren't considered strong for an honorable. But this time, it's even more terrifying than a crazy wolf king. In the process of being swallowed, Night Sorrow secretly thought in his heart. Genius remembered this site's address in a second. Human mobile version reading website. Chapter 2975. There was no way to resist the beast's devouring. Night Sorrow had not experienced this feeling for a long time. In the process of being devoured, he thought of the people in the God realm in his space hollow. He felt that he should not give up no matter what. Brother Yi, what happened? In the process of Night Sorrow being devoured by the beast, Murong guides the way in his space hollow and asks puzzledly. He guessed that Night Sorrow had been devoured by the beast, but he did not dare to believe this fact, so he asked to confirm. Hearing this, Night Sorrow said helplessly, "We have been devoured by the beast, but we still need to observe what will happen. I will do my best to protect everyone." Being devoured into my chaos space, who are you still dreaming of protecting? Yi Shang had just opened his mouth when a deep, deep voice rang out. Beast. Hearing this voice, Night Sorrow vigilantly used his godly soul to check the surroundings. But the surroundings were completely chaotic, so he could not sense anything. This king is the Chaos Supreme Beast King. You dare to enter the territory ruled by this king, prepare to die. After the beast that called itself the Chaos Supreme Beast King roared, it released its godly soul power and attacked Night Sorrow. It turned out that it could not only use its strength to attack. On the contrary, its godly soul power was very strong, but it did not use it in the battle just now. At this time, in the chaos space, after it was used, Night Sorrow immediately felt a strong pressure. His godly soul felt as if it was being torn into pieces, and the pain was unbearable. But he did not know where to start and how to resist the beast's attack. He could only try his best to use his godly soul to resist this terrifying attack. But Night Sorrow's resistance did not have any power under the Chaos Supreme Beast King's pressure. Not only was the Chaos Supreme Beast King's body huge, but its godly soul power was also unusually strong. To Night Sorrow, its godly soul was like a giant. Am I going to be killed by it just like this? No, I can't die. Behind me is the entire god realm. Night Sorrow knew that if he was killed by the beast in front of him, the realm of the gods would not be able to achieve a good result in this battle for providence. In that case, the divine world's territory and the divine world would definitely be attacked by other realms. That kind of situation was unimaginable. After pondering for a moment, Night Sorrow transmitted his voice to the people in the space cave. Crush your identity plates and teleport everyone out. I'll stay and fight it. Don't worry, as long as I don't die, I will bring good results to the divine realm. With so many people from the divine world around, he couldn't do as he pleased. He was prepared to let them all leave so that he could give it his all. No. Night Sorrow. We will fight alongside you. Rather than leaving, we might as well die here with you. Because if you're not here, the god realm will cease to exist. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, Xiaofan immediately retorted. Neither he nor anyone else from the god world had any intention of leaving. To them, leaving meant giving up. It was no different from dying here. Yuan Fengxue also said, "That's right. Brother Yi, although our strength isn't very strong, we can still be of help if we stay. Don't give up on us. Everyone should leave. That way, I can give it my all." Hearing everyone's words, Night Sorrow was naturally very moved. However, he didn't have the slightest confidence in facing the beast in front of him. He didn't want everyone to die here. No one needs to leave. I will solve the problem in front of us. At this moment, Wu Lingfei, who had been recuperating, suddenly opened her mouth and said, "HM? You will solve it? Lingfei, you can fight against the Supreme Chaos Beast King?" After Wu Lingfei finished speaking, Yuan Fengxue immediately asked doubtfully. The others were also puzzled. They felt that if even Night Sorrow couldn't solve the problem, logically speaking, Wu Lingfei shouldn't be able to solve it. I don't have the ability to fight against the Supreme Chaos Beast King, but I can let Night Sorrow have the ability to fight against it. Wu Lingfei said and continued, I have a secret method that can help Night Sorrow increase the power of his divine soul in a short time. It should be no problem to use it to fight against the beast in front of us. Then what are we waiting for? Hurry up and do it. How do you need us to cooperate? Xiaofan said anxiously. He was in Night Sorrow's space cave and could clearly feel how Night Sorrow's divine soul was being suppressed. Just wait. Wu Lingfei said and transmitted her voice to Night Sorrow, who was fighting against the Supreme Chaos Beast King. She said, Relax your divine soul. I will help you increase the power of your divine soul. How? Night Sorrow also asked doubtfully. He didn't know that Wu Lingfei had such a method. Divine Soul Dual Cultivation Technique. Wu Lingfei said and released her divine soul, intertwining it with Night Sorrow's divine soul. In an instant, Night Sorrow felt that his divine soul, which was being suppressed by the Supreme Chaos Beast King, became comfortable. It was like a suffocating person inhaling a breath of air. However, soon, Night Sorrow found that this divine soul dual cultivation technique was very mysterious. It was not as simple as just inhaling a breath of air. His and Wu Lingfei's divine souls were soon completely intertwined, and there was a feeling of harmony. That feeling was very pleasant. Although the heat was very short, it was more strange than the combination of physical bodies. At that moment, he even completely forgot about the suppression of the Supreme Chaos Beast King's divine soul. He was completely immersed in the aftertaste of Wu Lingfei. Don't worry about the Supreme Chaos Beast King. But soon, Wu Lingfei withdrew her divine soul with a red face and ended this short dual cultivation. After Wu Lingfei withdrew her divine soul, Night Sorrow was surprised to find that his divine soul had improved by a lot. In an instant, the Supreme Chaos Beast King was completely unable to suppress him. Break for me! Realizing that the Supreme Chaos Beast King's divine soul could not suppress him, Night Sorrow shouted and completely released the power of his divine soul, using it to launch a counterattack. Then, Night Sorrow found that his divine soul strength had increased, and in terms of divine soul strength, it had surpassed the Supreme Chaos Beast King. He chased after it and fought fiercely. Very soon, the Supreme Chaos Beast King was completely suppressed by Night Sorrow. Thank you, Lingfei. After suppressing the Supreme Chaos Beast King, Night Sorrow left and sent a message to Wu Lingfei. After the two of them went through a spiritual exchange, he was completely embarrassed to call her Aunt Fei or Sister Fei. Fortunately, he directly called her Ling Fei. On the other hand, Wu Ling Fei was very relieved and said calmly, "You're welcome, protecting the God realm is not your responsibility alone." In fact, in her heart, there were already waves that could not be suppressed. In the past, Night Sorrow was just a junior in her heart, but after thousands of years of contact, her feelings for Night Sorrow were completely different. Genius remembered this site's address in a second. Human mobile version reading website. Chapter 2976. In fact, Night Sorrow was already completely aware of Wu Lingfei's intentions. However, under such circumstances, Night Sorrow naturally had no time to talk about children. Soon. Just release us out of the chaos space? I want you to choose to submit. Be my battle pet. This primal chaos supreme beast king was very powerful, but after Night Sorrow suppressed its divine soul, he realized that it was a weakling. It was not as strong as it appeared on the surface. It was completely possible for it to submit. The biggest problem of the God Realm territory was that there were too few top-notch combatants. If he could make this primal chaos supreme beast king submit, it would definitely be a very ferocious combatant. Hearing Night Sorrow asking it to submit, the primal chaos supreme beast king was completely enraged in an instant. She was angry. However, Night Sorrow, who had just improved his divine soul power, had clearly surpassed the primal chaos supreme beast king. After suppressing the primal chaos supreme beast king again, Night Sorrow said coldly, "I am the virtuous dominator. I mean what I say. I'll give you a chance to submit. If you don't submit, I'll kill you directly and make you into a divine weapon." As soon as Night Sorrow finished speaking, the primal chaos supreme beast king spoke. "Speak. What are your conditions?" The other party's attitude changed so quickly that it surprised him. The primal chaos supreme beast king said. At this moment, he suddenly had a strange feeling that this behemoth in front of him was plotting against him. The primal chaos supreme beast king changed his words. "You're not waiting for me here, are you? Do you agree to my request or not? I promise you that if I have the ability, I'll help you break through to Earth Supreme. At the same time, I also have a request. In the process of following me, you must do everything according to my wishes." At present, the God Realm territory indeed needed such a strong helper. After saying that, the primal chaos heavenly crystal beast's body shrank infinitely until it shrank into Night Sorrow's palm. Then, Night Sorrow and the primal chaos heavenly crystal beast signed a heavenly Tao contract, forming a master-servant relationship. After signing the heavenly Tao contract, the primal chaos heavenly crystal beast sent a voice transmission to Night Sorrow. "You should thank me and her. If it weren't for me, you wouldn't have been able to get her under these circumstances. If it wasn't for her, you wouldn't have passed my test and would have been killed by me." Night Sorrow didn't want to tell anyone about his relationship with Wu Lingfei. "I've lived in this space for countless years. How could I not know about it? Then do you know where there are more ferocious beasts? I have a friend who told us that he encountered a large number of ferocious beasts and was being hunted down. We need to extend a helping hand to him." "Your friend lied to you. There weren't many dire beasts here at all. Other than me, there are no other powerful creatures here." "What? Are you telling the truth? You're the only one with strong combat power here?" "My friend has the strength of a dominator. A dominator rank vicious beast is already very strong for him." Hearing this, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast continued to say with certainty, "It's impossible for your friend to encounter a large number of ferocious beasts here. He must have lied to you." He had faith in the myriad sword sect's character. The chaotic heavenly crystal beast said doubtfully. Then, it patted its head with its tentacle and said, "That's right. I understand now. Your friend must have encountered the evil demon sword and then had an illusion. That evil demon sword is very evil. The evil demon sword is an evil sword suppressed in this palace. Although it's a supreme artifact, it's very evil and has a powerful bewitching ability. Your friend must not be strong enough and was deceived by its illusion." The chaotic heavenly crystal beast explained. After the chaotic heavenly crystal beast finished speaking, Night Sorrow continued, "Hurry up and bring me to that evil demon sword. I want to save my friend." However, The chaotic heavenly crystal beast did not immediately bring Night Sorrow to the area where the evil demon sword was. Isn't it just a sword? Moreover, it's only at the supreme level. No matter how powerful it is, how powerful can it be? Knowing that Night Sorrow was in a hurry to save someone, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast still advised. It's not that I don't want to help you, but we really aren't a match for the evil demon sword. It has once absorbed the laws and essence of an Earth sovereign. Those who don't understand the laws and essence of an Earth sovereign can't fight against it at all. Clan M. Chapter 2977. Earth Supreme's Laws and Essence? I have them. Wait for me to absorb them. He landed on the ground, set up a formation, and began to absorb them. In addition, his cultivation had already advanced to the sovereign realm, and he had also consolidated it through continuous battles. In just 2 years, Night Sorrow completely absorbed the Earth Supreme's laws and essence that Feng Wuji had injected into his body. After absorbing the Earth Supreme's laws and essence, Night Sorrow immediately realized the difference between sovereigns and Earth sovereigns. A surface was equivalent to the sum of countless lines. Let's go! I've already absorbed some Earth Supreme's laws and essence. At this moment, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast looked at Night Sorrow with obvious envy in its eyes. If it had not chosen to submit to Night Sorrow, it would have already prepared to snatch it. The chaotic heavenly crystal beast instructed Night Sorrow and brought him to the place where the evil demon sword was suppressed. Xiao Tianxian asked telepathically as they flew towards the evil demon sword. Hearing this, Night Sorrow replied, "It's fine. It has already signed a heavenly Dao law with me. As long as it doesn't want to die, it won't lie to me." Xiao Tianxian said worriedly. The myriad sword sect had been silent for more than 2 years. As long as there's a glimmer of hope, I'll save Brother Wan from danger. He hoped that Xiao Tianxian and the others would be in a better mood. Just as Night Sorrow was communicating with Xiao Tianxian, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast suddenly said. Speaking of the evil aura around it, it was a little unnatural, as if it had sensed something. After the chaotic heavenly crystal beast finished speaking, Night Sorrow released his divine spirit power towards the main hall and clearly detected the evil aura that the other party mentioned. Just as Night Sorrow was talking to the chaotic heavenly crystal beast. That's Brother Wan's voice. Brother Wan, it's indeed Brother Wan's voice. Being able to hear the myriad sword sect's voice so quickly made them all heave a sigh of relief. The next moment, when the myriad sword sect appeared, everyone in the Divine World territory was surprised. However, his eyes were completely occupied by evil Will-o'-the-Wisps. In particular, it was a huge black sword in his hand. It was suffused with a vast cold light, making people feel very uncomfortable. Haha, I'm fine. Of course I'm fine. Moreover, it will be stronger than ever. He looked at Night Sorrow and said, You once defeated me. Today, I will kill you and avenge the humiliation of my defeat. Night Sorrow coldly shouted when he saw the myriad sword sect in such a state. He wasn't really himself. The Will-o'-the-Wisp in Master Myriad Sword's eyes danced evilly as he spoke. Then, he swung the great sword above his head at Night Sorrow. As the 10,000 sword sect attacked, Night Sorrow immediately asked the Chaos Heavenly Crystal Beast about it while dodging their attacks. The chaotic heavenly crystal beast sent a voice transmission to Night Sorrow before it continued. I haven't absorbed any earthly sovereign rules or essence, so I'm still in danger of being controlled by the evil demon sword. Why don't you put me into the space cave to hide? Night Sorrow responded and put the chaotic heavenly crystal beast into the grotto heaven. The current myriad sword sect, whether it was his eyes or the aura on his body, had undergone a huge change. Then, he threw the great sword in his hand into the air and turned it into a half-moon scimitar. It spun and slashed at Night Sorrow. The current myriad sword sect's aura had become many times stronger than before. However, it collided with him. Even the golden heavenly halberd in his hand almost fell out of his hand. Night Sorrow, who had climbed up from the void, looked at the current myriad sword sect and asked, Are you Brother Wan or the evil demon sword? The myriad sword sect, who was holding the evil demon sword, roared and charged at Night Sorrow again. Facing the incoming myriad sword sect, Night Sorrow couldn't help but sigh. Clan. Chapter 2978. If you want to save him, you have to defeat him first. He explained, when I say defeat, I mean suppress or seal him, and then find a way to save him. Night Sorrow responded and no longer paid attention to the chaotic heavenly crystal beast, locking his gaze on Myriad Sword Sect. Moreover, it was mainly based on the evil demon sword's consciousness, and its killing intent was extremely heavy. Evil Demon Sword Drawl. The evil demon sword drew a semicircle in the void and slashed at Night Sorrow. Facing this move, Night Sorrow, who was observing with the sea serpent's eye, suddenly felt that all the moves he had mastered before were not suitable. Although this move was something that Night Sorrow came up with on the spot, its power was not small at all. This was because this was a spear technique that was researched based on the supreme rules. Your strength has improved very quickly, but it's impossible for you to defeat me. This time, he continued to attack and did not perform any unique skill. A spear and a sword clashed in close combat, intertwining with each other, emitting countless rays of light and deafening sounds. Now that they were fighting like this, neither side was able to extricate themselves from the fight. It seems that you're not that terrifying. Evil Demon Sword. I believe that my brother will soon be able to completely suppress you. In the process of persevering, he mocked the Evil Demon Sword, hoping to use this method to awaken the kindness in Myriad Sword Sect's heart. The Evil Demon Sword's voice came over sinisterly. Facing this kind of attack that wanted to fight with his life, Night Sorrow struggled to resist. After thinking for a moment, Night Sorrow transmitted his voice to the chaotic heavenly crystal beast. Come out and fight with me. Although he has fused with the supreme rules and essence, as a supreme, you obviously have the ability to assist me in battle. Don't hide in the space to watch the show. If I'm killed, you definitely won't survive. No matter how useless it was, it could still be of some use. This, all right. Together with Night Sorrow, they fought against Myriad Sword Sect controlled by the Evil Demon Sword. As soon as the chaotic heavenly crystal beast attacked, it controlled Myriad Sword Sect's Evil Demon Sword and scolded coldly. Although the chaotic heavenly crystal beast's body was huge, its attacks were not stupid at all. However, the Evil Fiend Sword was too sharp. During the battle, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast was slashed several times. After suffering continuous attacks, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast was in so much pain that it screamed again and again. What are you yelling for? If he could focus on dealing with you, I would definitely take him down. Night Sorrow replied snappily. A thing as cowardly as a mouse dares to make a move against me. I want your life. Let the Myriad Sword Sect's body fight against the chaotic heavenly crystal beast. However, it still did not exert its full strength. It only ensured that it was not injured and did not attack with all its might. You're underestimating me too much if you think you can fight me with just your sword. You're underestimating me. Now, let me show you what a real Evil Demon Sword is. Now that the Evil Demon Sword had escaped the Myriad Sword Sect's control, it had become even more vicious. No matter how terrifying a sword is, it's only a divine artifact. You're just an artifact spirit. Do you think you can overturn the heavens? He immediately condensed the power of virtue in his body. After fighting for a while, with the help of the power of virtue, Night Sorrow quickly suppressed the Evil Demon Sword. The Evil Demon Sword, which relied on murderous aura and baleful aura to produce attacks, was perfectly restrained. Realizing that Night Sorrow could control the power of virtue, the Evil Demon Sword's artifact spirit was immediately terrified. Therefore, it realized that something was wrong when Night Sorrow used the power of virtue. Clan M. Chapter 2979. After merging with Myriad Sword Sect's body, the Evil Demon Sword immediately turned into a giant red sword with a black light. Evil Demon Sword. This was a power that it had not activated in the battle just now. In the Space Grotto Heaven, Wu Lingfei immediately shouted worriedly when she saw the Evil Demon Sword use such a move. This move of the Evil Demon Sword had the power to destroy the heavens and earth. Even in the Space Grotto Heaven, they could feel the power of this attack. Facing the fiendish sword, Night Sorrow responded to the crowd and cast a virtuous trapping array on the huge red sword. He then roared at the chaotic heavenly crystal beast. Immediately use the chaos space and suck us all in. I want to fight it in your chaos space. Dealing with the Evil Demon Sword in my chaos space At this moment, Night Sorrow threatened. If you don't do as I say, you'll be violating the oath of the Heavenly Tao and will be killed by the Heavenly Tao. The chaotic heavenly crystal beast muttered and cooperated with Night Sorrow. The moment the giant red sword was frozen, They used the chaos space. Chaotic heavenly crystal beast. Try to stabilize the chaos space. I'll deal with it myself. In the chaos space, he could only use his soul to attack. He was prepared to use his powerful soul to destroy the evil demon sword's artifact spirit. Whether or not I'm courting death, we'll only know after we fight. Then, they began a soul duel in the chaos space controlled by the chaotic heavenly crystal beast. The evil demon sword's artifact spirit was stronger than Night Sorrow's in terms of soul, but it needed to split a large part of it to suppress Myriad Sword Sect's soul. Under such circumstances, the evil demon sword's artifact spirit was still evenly matched with Night Sorrow, forming a stalemate. Alright. Let's join forces and completely suppress it. After it evolved into a 1 versus 3 battle, the evil demon sword's artifact spirit could not hold on any longer. In the end, it was completely killed by Night Sorrow and the chaotic heavenly crystal beast. The evil demon sword also became an ownerless artifact without an artifact spirit. At this moment, Night Sorrow sent a voice transmission to the chaotic heavenly crystal beast, asking it to release him and Myriad Sword Sect from the chaos space. Oh. Why doesn't it make sense? There's no basis. I just feel that the evil demon sword is not that easy to deal with. There shouldn't be any problems. I've already obtained its earthly sovereign rules and essence. What? Are you willing to give these things to me? These are the spoils of war that you have obtained through the battle. In the future, we will distribute the spoils fairly in every battle. At this point, the people of the God world had also come out to help. Under such circumstances, Night Sorrow said, Brother Juan's soul was heavily injured and he didn't wake up. I had no choice but to put him into the space grotto heaven. We need to continue fighting to get more points. Now that we have the help of the chaotic heavenly crystal beast, our strength is enough to compete for first place in this small world. As for the other sovereigns, they had no resistance against him and the chaotic heavenly crystal beast. Xiao Tianxian sighed. The current Myriad Sword Sect was practically a living corpse. Chaotic heavenly crystal beast, can you change your appearance? I want you to disguise yourself as Brother Juan and fight alongside us. Transform into that person's appearance? I can give it a try. Moreover, in terms of appearance, the transformation was extremely similar. Genius remembered this site's address in a second. Human mobile version reading website. Chapter 2980. Try fighting and see if you can imitate some of Brother Juan's moves. I'll try my best. I might not succeed. After the battle began, Night Sorrow shook his head and said, Your imitation is a complete imitation. You didn't imitate the essence. You didn't show the sword intent that he controlled. Anyone with a discerning eye will be exposed. However, that's it for now. After all, it's impossible for you to comprehend sword intent in a short time. The chaotic heavenly crystal beast said matter-of-factly. Okay. That's not a problem. The chaotic heavenly crystal beast agreed and continued. Can you let me cultivate in peace for a while? I want to absorb the Earth Supreme's rules and essence. Night Sorrow told the chaotic heavenly crystal beast and let it absorb the Earth Supreme's rules and essence on the spot. These rules and essence were temporarily useless to the Myriad Sword Sect, so he didn't leave them for the other party. He still needed to wait a year for the chaotic heavenly crystal beast. When he had nothing to do, he studied the combination of the Earth Supreme's rules and essence with his own attributes. He named it the Void Transition Technique, and this movement technique was 3 to 4 times faster than the Void Dragon movement technique. This movement technique has greatly improved me. It's a pity that I don't have time to study the spear technique anymore. I'm not sure if I can defeat the Supreme Wolf King. The crazy Supreme Wolf King's strength was absolutely terrifying. It had absorbed the Earth Supreme's essence twice, and its cultivation was almost at the peak of a lower-level juggernaut. I'm done with my cultivation. I've finished absorbing the Earth Supreme's rules and essence. What surprised Night Sorrow was that it had also finished absorbing the Earth Supreme's rules and essence. Night Sorrow said and then explained to the chaotic heavenly crystal beast the situation of the God Realm's territory and the battle for Providence. The chaotic heavenly crystal beast looked at Night Sorrow and asked word by word. Night Sorrow said and ignored the chaotic heavenly crystal beast. He transmitted his voice to Xiao Tianxian and the others, saying, Brother Xiao, the Supreme Wolf King has gone crazy in the small world. It's very dangerous. You guys rest in my space grotto heaven for the time being and take care of Brother Juan. Leave the battle to me. Xiao Tianxian said in a sincere and earnest tone. It was the same for everyone else in the firmament. No matter what, you'll be the one leading us in this battle of providence. Let's strive to contribute more next time. In fact, at this juncture of the battle for providence, it had completely exceeded the strength they could resist. Everyone here has contributed in the past, and played a crucial role. If it weren't for everyone, we would have been killed on the Scarlet Celestial Body, and we wouldn't have achieved what we have now. Together with the Primal Chaos Heavenly Crystal Beast, Xiao Chen searched for a way out of the underground palace. With the Primal Chaos Heavenly Crystal Beast's help, he spent more than a year to successfully leave the underground palace, which contained many formations. As far as his eyes could see, everything had become a wasteland. After activating the Sea Serpent Dragon's Eye to observe, Night Sorrow determined the situation before him. While Night Sorrow was searching for the Supreme Wolf King, it actually reappeared. I wonder how they managed to hide. It just so happened to avoid the raging Supreme Wolf King. But now that this matter has become a fact, we can't stop it. There were still 44 people left. In the firmament, apart from Night Sorrow and the chaotic Heavenly Crystal Beast, who was disguised as the Myriad Sword Sect, no one else had appeared. In his opinion, as long as the Dao World's territory avoided the Supreme Wolf King's pursuit, they could successfully obtain first place. Thus, he felt much more relaxed. Supremacy Yuling knew that Feng Wuji's wishes could not be violated. Thus, she looked coldly at Night Sorrow in the image. Clan M. Chapter 2981. Supreme Yuling is a person of noble character and unquestionable integrity. A person who understands the greater good. We are all in awe. No one can grow in the Divine World territory. Otherwise, everyone will be threatened. Supreme Yuling helped everyone solve the hidden dangers. This kind of fearless spirit is worthy of all of us to learn. Some of the Supremes from other territories also began to compliment him. He thought to himself, hypocrite. I was also forced by Feng Wuji. Otherwise, who would be willing to wade in muddy waters? However, right at this moment, a Supreme suddenly walked in front of Supreme Yuling and said, Supreme Whitebone is back. He sent me a voice transmission and will be here soon. Supreme Yuling's brows immediately relaxed a lot and said, Everyone, follow me to personally welcome Supreme Whitebone. He's our great hero. The Supremes present had nothing to do with whether Supreme Whitebone returned or not. Then, everyone went to welcome Supreme Whitebone under Supreme Yuling's lead. Regarding this, the Whitebone sovereign sighed bitterly. Come, brother Whitebone, let's watch that little bastard fight together. His strength must have improved greatly over the years. You mustn't underestimate him. At this moment, Night Sorrow was leading the Chaos Heavenly Crystal Beast, who had transformed into Myriad Sword Sect's appearance, to search for Supreme Wolf King in the small world. However, Night Sorrow discovered the people from the Chaos territory. Night Sorrow, who used the Sea Serpent's Eye to discover the people from the Chaos territory, did not attack them. He directly flew over the volcano where they were hiding. Leader, 3131. The ones passing by outside are Night Sorrow and Myriad Sword Sect from the Divine World territory. There are only 2 of them. Should we make a move? The 2 of them dare to roam freely outside with the Supreme Wolf King running amok. They definitely won't be easy to deal with. We'd better hide in peace and wait for 100 years to come. We'll naturally obtain a good ranking because of the Supreme Wolf King's existence. However, right at this moment, he received a cold voice transmission. It was Supreme Yuling. Although Supreme Whitebone had already returned, he cheated again. Qi Xinghai, who heard this voice, was first stunned before asking in confusion. Supreme Yuling informed Qi Xinghai of the 3 territory points. Good. Very good. When you come out, I have a reward. He was prepared to end the battle in this small world as soon as possible. After Qi Xinghai ended his conversation with Yuling, he immediately ordered, Currently, there are 3 territories left in the pocket dimension. As long as we eliminate the Divine World territory, we will be second place. It was second only to the Dao World's territory. Everyone, let's kill our way out. Hearing Qi Xinghai's words, everyone in the Chaos territory was overjoyed. Qi Xinghai replied and took the lead to stand up. With a golden trident in hand, he charged out of the volcano. The others in the Chaos territory also charged out. Entering the top 32, that was the first echelon. Kill. He immediately noticed the people from the Primal Chaos territory rushing over. It's me. Are you from the Primal Chaos territory? I am the leader of the Primal Chaos territory, Qi Xinghai. Currently, there are 17 people left in my Primal Chaos territory. There are only 2 of you left in the Celestial Realm. You're no match for us. Crush your own nameplates. Without waiting for Night Sorrow to respond, he continued, You are ranked 3rd in this small world. This result is already the highest in countless years. You should be satisfied. Night Sorrow, who was suspended in the void, used the Sea Serpent's eye to size up the people in the Chaos territory. Then, he continued, If the Chaos territory hid peacefully in the volcano just now, you could have easily obtained 2nd place, because I would have kicked the Dao World territory out. A disdainful smile appeared on Qi Xinghai's face. Then he ordered, Attack! There's no need to say anything to people like him. After Qi Xinghai gave the order, he led the people in the Chaos territory to attack. Night Sorrow, who originally did not want to deal with them, sneered and launched a counterattack. Clan. Chapter 2982. Shameless boasting. Just the 2 of you and you want to call yourselves kings in front of the Chaos territory? At the same time, the rest of the Chaos territory attacked together with him. And they were all elites. With Xiao Tianxuan's strength, he could only be ranked below average. When these people attacked together, they immediately turned into a dozen streams of light in the void, looking like meteors. He snorted coldly and said, I don't need 2 people to deal with you. I alone am enough. I, Qi Xinghai, have never seen such an arrogant piece of trash like you. I won't give you the chance to crush your nameplate. He felt like he had been greatly humiliated. The rest of the Chaos territory also burst out in laughter. It's you guys. So weak that you can't see through others' attacks. Night Sorrow's voice came from behind them. It was just that his movement technique was too strong, leaving behind an afterimage in the void that they couldn't see through. Night Sorrow, who had already reached the back of the Chaos territory's people, suddenly fired a shot before they could finish their attack. In comparison, Night Sorrow's attack was like the sun exploding in the void. Other than Qi Xinghai, who staggered to his feet, the rest of the Chaos territory who were hit by the attack lost their ability to fight. Now you know who overestimated themselves. Crush your nameplate. He knew that this attack was enough. You. Because Night Sorrow had shocked him too much. With such strength, he could definitely be ranked in the top 20 in this battle for Providence. No one is an eternal king. But if you never have the heart to challenge, you don't have the right to become a strong person. Alright, our Chaos territory asked for it. Everyone, let's go. Now that the battle has reached this point, we can leave. Before he crushed his nameplate, he suddenly sent a voice transmission to Night Sorrow. Be careful of Supreme Yu Ling. If not for her, I wouldn't have attacked just now. I'm saying this to repay you for sparing my life. The difference in strength between the 2 sides was just too great. Night Sorrow heard Qi Xinghai's words and immediately asked in confusion. It seems that Paragon Yu Ling has been the one sending people to deal with our territories. He should be able to see all of our actions from outside. No wonder our concealment formation is useless. He sent a voice transmission to the chaotic heavenly crystal beast, asking, Will there be an image stone in that palace? The chaotic heavenly crystal beast replied without hesitation. They definitely don't deserve it with just these people. But it's absolutely impossible for you to go against the entire Chaos territory. Good. This king is going to rest. Then, Night Sorrow sped up to search for the Supreme Wolf King and the people in the Dao World's territory. Dao Wui, who was in the Dao World's territory, could not help but swallow his saliva. Although Night Sorrow had just made a simple attack, it was still a huge blow. Night Sorrow's rate of improvement terrified him. I don't need you to tell me that. I have already ordered everyone in the Dao world to attack him. If this drags on any longer, the consequences will be unimaginable. Tell them Night Sorrow's location and the strength he displayed. What? Night Sorrow has actually become so strong? When Night Sorrow had said on the square that he would definitely have a battle with Fairy Yu Yen, he had thought that Night Sorrow was arrogant and did not know the immensity of heaven and earth. Clan M. Chapter 2983. He might be more powerful than we imagined. Everyone in the Chaos Territory was killed by him in one move. Based on Supreme Yuling's words, he could deduce that Night Sorrow was not inferior to him. As for what his upper limit was, he could not deduce it at all. If Dao Tianming and the others were all killed by Night Sorrow, he would not be able to do anything even if he advanced to the final battle for the championship. Dao Tianming was terrified when he heard Dao Jun's words. After the battle, he would definitely be taken care of. After Dao Tianming finished speaking, Dao Jun's eyes lit up. Good. The fact that you have this idea proves that you're a meticulous leader. I'm optimistic about your future development. However, you don't have to go out and lure the Supreme Wolf King out. You just have to wait. Night Sorrow and the Supreme Wolf King will encounter each other very soon. Yes, Lord Yuling. Because they wanted to make a difference in the final battle for the championship, the Dao World Territory paid attention to the issue of manpower consumption. After communicating with Supreme Yuling, Dao Jun ordered, everyone, refine at least 3 divine talismans. As long as we attack, we won't leave him any leeway. The Dao World Territory was prepared to fight Night Sorrow like a paragon. At the moment, the Supreme Wolf King was completely crazy, and its strength was still at the upper paragon level. The Supreme Wolf King's attacks were no longer like before with absolute arts or other things. They were all unstructured attacks. Night Sorrow, who was facing it, was aware that someone was paying attention to him and had been holding back. Why is the Supreme Wolf King more powerful than the 31? Is he much stronger than the small world's paragon? Could this be heaven's will? I'm not sure why this happened, but it's good that this is the case. The Supreme Wolf King will most likely be of great help to us. The strength Night Sorrow displayed now was not inferior to the strength he had displayed during the battle with the Chaos Territory's people. Then, under Night Sorrow's control, the battle looked even more tragic. In the end, he was completely fighting with the Supreme Wolf King. He had obtained the reward of guarding this small world, but he looked like he was at his last breath. At the sight of this, Supreme Yuling snickered coldly. She then sent a voice transmission to Dao Jun. Night Sorrow is already severely injured. You guys attack immediately. Dao Jun replied to Yuling and ordered, Night Sorrow is severely injured. Follow me and kill our way out. After everyone in the Dao world responded, they followed Dao Jun and rushed toward where Night Sorrow was. After meeting Night Sorrow, Dao Jun sneered. Night Sorrow looked at the people in the Dao world's territory and said coldly. Dao Jun said as he took out 3 supreme artifact. Relying on the control of his divine sense, he attacked Night Sorrow. Dao Tianming and the others immediately threw divine talismans and divine weapons at Night Sorrow. One person actually has 3 supreme artifacts. The people in the top 30 are indeed not to be underestimated. Using the Void Transition skill, he easily dodged the attacks, causing them to land in the boundless void. After these 3 supreme artifacts attacked, they immediately locked onto his aura and chased after him ferociously. When everyone in the spatial grotto heavens saw Night Sorrow face so many people in the Dao world's territory alone, they all felt worried for Night Sorrow. As for the chaotic heavenly crystal beast, it was ready to attack. Although it was not very bold, it did not want Night Sorrow to die so quickly. Everyone, don't worry. I have the ability to fight with the Dao world's territory and lead everyone to the top 10. However, Night Sorrow could naturally guess their thoughts. After comforting them, he completely rushed into the group of Dao world's territory sovereigns. Clan M. Chapter 2984. Brothers, Night Sorrow is not injured at all. This means that his strength completely surpasses the Supreme Wolf King's. He's stronger than we thought. Everyone, be extremely careful. Dao Jun immediately reminded them and controlled the 3 supreme divine weapons to resist Night Sorrow's attack. Although there were many rulers in the Dao world, when Night Sorrow executed the Void Transition technique, no one could attack him except for Dao Jun and Dao Tianming. While resisting Dao Jun and Dao Tianming, Night Sorrow did not attack the other rulers. Very soon, he killed more than 10 cultivators directly. When they saw their subordinates being killed by Night Sorrow one by one, they did not even have the chance to crush their identity nameplates. Facing Night Sorrow, he executed his strongest mystic technique. This move was executed by using the 3 supreme divine weapons and a secret treasure on him. On the ground of this world was a huge 8 trigrams diagram. The void was filled with yellow talismans that were originally floating aimlessly. For a moment, Knight Sorrow was restrained by countless talismans and could barely resist these attacks. When he saw Knight Sorrow being defeated by him, in the Dao world, Dao Jun's face immediately revealed a pleasantly surprised expression. Leader, we'll do our best to kill him and not give him a chance to make a comeback. After Dao Tianming made a move, the other people in the Dao world also executed this kind of ultimate skill and mystic technique and attacked Knight Sorrow ferociously. This time, not only were the people in the Dao world attacking, but he was also suppressed and attacked by the Dao world's heaven and earth. Knight Sorrow, what should we do? Do you need our help? Murong Zhenlu also said, Brother Yi, let us out. We can be of some use. At that moment, Knight Sorrow said in a low voice, Everyone is making a fearless sacrifice by coming out rashly. I can handle it myself. Since Knight Sorrow did not let everyone out, Xiao Tianxian continued. The chaotic heavenly crystal beast is one of our trump cards in the championship battle. Now is not the time for it to appear. Everyone, don't worry. Although I'm in a sorry state, their formation shouldn't last for long. I will persevere. At that moment, he was in the Dao world's heaven and earth and basically did not have the ability to break the array. He had been passively taking a beating. This was also an important reason why Knight Sorrow had not let the chaotic heavenly crystal beast come out to fight. He wanted to use his own ability to persist until the Dao world's heaven and earth collapsed. Dao Jun, who was controlling the formation, had exhausted a lot of his divine energy. He could not attack at all, so he shouted anxiously, Leader! We are already attacking with all our might. If this kind of attack can't kill it, there's nothing we can do. After Knight Sorrow had been trapped, she and the cultivators of the other Dao world territories had launched their most ferocious attacks. At this point in the battle, their confidence had suffered a great blow. They felt that Knight Sorrow was like an invincible sovereign. Bastard! He's already trapped. What are you afraid of? Give it your all. Give it your all. Ignite his bloodline. If I can't burn my bloodline, then I'll burn my life force. I must kill him quickly. However, even if Dao Jun was anxious, they could not unleash a more powerful attack. At that moment, Supreme Yu Ling and the others who were watching looked at each other. Don't worry. I'll do my best to kill him. It's completely impossible for the Divine World territories to rise. Although Yishang had displayed great strength in the image and had the strength of a supreme being, Yishang was still very strong. Therefore, his strength was much stronger than the Supreme Wolf King's. Clan M. Chapter 2985. Supremacy Whitebone. Don't worry. If you attack Knight Sorrow and encounter any accidents, we'll take care of the Bone Realm. Dao Jun, it looks like your world won't last for long. Although he was battered and exhausted from the bombardment, he was still not in danger. Although his attacks still could not shake the Dao world's heaven and earth, the surrounding talismans were getting weaker and weaker. Upon realizing that Knight Sorrow was about to break out of the realm, Dao Jun's face was full of unwillingness. Enter and perish together? Do you mean to send people into the Dao world and self-destruct? The self-destruction of a ruler was indeed not much of a threat to Knight Sorrow, but it was completely different if 20 to 30 rulers self-destructed. Yes, leader. That's what Tianming means. He's willing to take the lead. The Dao world's territory cannot be in the hands of Knight Sorrow. Good. Deputy leader Tianming is willing to sacrifice himself to achieve the Dao world's territory. This kind of boldness is worth learning from. Who else is willing to sacrifice themselves? Leader. Dao Tianxie is willing. Instigated by these people, all the cultivators in the Dao world's territory expressed their willingness to sacrifice themselves. At that moment, the Dao world's heaven and earth was already very unstable and could not last long. Dao Jun instigated all the rulers present and immediately ordered them to launch a suicidal attack. After Dao Jun gave the order, the remaining 20-odd cultivators in the Dao world's territory immediately poured into the Dao world's heaven and earth. Upon seeing so many cultivators pouring into the Dao world's territory, Knight Sorrow immediately had an ominous premonition. After one of the cultivators finished speaking, he roared, "Everyone, attack! Don't give him any chance!" Xiao Tianxian, who was in the spatial grotto heaven, immediately realized what was about to happen when he saw the people in the Tao world's territory behave like that. At that moment, Knight Sorrow naturally saw what the people in the Tao world's territory were preparing to do. He could only raise his strength to the strongest state and prepare for defense. Before Knight Sorrow was completely prepared, the cultivators in the Tao world's territory started to self-destruct. They were too close, so Knight Sorrow could not avoid them at all. He could only choose to take them head-on. There were green mountains and clear waters. This group of brats from the Tao world is really ruthless. The decisiveness of the Tao world's ruler surprised even an eternal supreme realm expert like him. Dao Wui, who saw the scene before him, sighed with a gloomy expression. He felt that this kind of sacrifice was too inappropriate. We've already sacrificed ourselves. Let's hope we can kill him, Dao Wui said unhappily. What appeared were two figures. It was Dao Jun and Dao Tianming. It hadn't been affected by the self-detonation of the sovereigns. Dao Jun, who had suffered a serious backlash from the array formation, looked at the Tao world's heaven and earth. There's no longer any trace of his aura in the void. He's probably dead. I didn't expect that we would have to sacrifice so many people to kill him. It's good that he's dead. We still defended the honor of the Tao world's territory, but we paid a bigger price. After Supreme Yu Ling's reminder, he felt that Knight Sorrow was like a mountain pressing down on him. Something's not right. Logically speaking, if we killed Knight Sorrow, we would get first place in our group and be teleported out of the pocket dimension. Could someone in the Divine World's territory be hiding in other areas? Let me ask. Chapter 2986. I don't know what's going on either. In the entire small world, there is indeed no one else besides you. Logically speaking, since the Tao world has already taken the top spot in this small world, you should have been teleported out immediately. After carefully checking every area, he did not find anyone from the Divine World or cultivators from other territories. After replying to Dao Jun, he shared his doubts with the others. I've thought of that as well, but that sealed place is too far away from the place where they fought. How did he manage to enter the sealed area directly from the place where the battle took place? It was not that he had not thought about it like Dao Wui, but after considering the details, he felt that it did not make sense. Everyone discussed for a while and made a few speculations. Yes, Lord Yu Ling. At that moment, Knight Sorrow was indeed in the underground palace. This was the chaotic heavenly crystal beast's life-saving mystic technique, which he had not wanted to expose. Now that the people from the Tao world have basically self-destructed, we should be in the bag for the first place in this group. Yes, our Divine World territory used to lack resources, but what we lack now is time. We can cultivate here for a few decades before going out. Then, Knight Sorrow released everyone from the Divine World territory. At that moment, Wu Lingfei said, if Dao Jun and the others find someone and we are forced to kill them, we might be teleported out of this small world. Why don't we set up a concealment Dharma array to avoid the possibility of encountering them? After saying that, Knight Sorrow started setting up a concealment Dharma array. Now, Dao Jun and the others had become pawns to delay this battle. They did not want to kill them so quickly. Before long, Dao Jun led Dao Tianming and appeared in the underground palace. That's strange. There's no one on the ground or in the underground palace. Could there be someone hiding somewhere we can't see? I'm not sure if Knight Sorrow has been killed. Things had developed to this point, which was somewhat beyond his imagination. With the sealing of the evil demon land as a precedent, he could no longer determine if Knight Sorrow and the others from the Divine World territory were still alive. What should we do? If only Knight Sorrow is hiding, we can let Dao Jun and Dao Tianming come out. Let the White Bones Sovereign kill him. However, if there are other territories hidden in the small world, the sacrifice of the Tao world's territory would be a loss. This matter had already developed to a confusing state, and he was unable to make a good judgment. After discussing for a while, they decided that it would be better for Dao Jun and Dao Tianming to continue searching in the small world. In the small world in front of them, they could no longer see the battle. Only then did the Supremes focus their attention on the battles in the other 31 small worlds. As for the Jiuxian estate, the Tianshao estate, the Immortal Extinction estate, and the Life Extension estate, the four great saint lands, They had all emerged as the first place in the group. Fairy Yueyan and the other super experts did not make a move personally. From the beginning to the end, they only played the role of holding the line. Dao Jun and Dao Tianming still couldn't find anyone in the small world. Taking everything into account, there were less than 5 small worlds left where the battle had not ended. All right. Dao Jun will follow Lord Yuling's orders. After receiving Yuling's message, the two of them crushed their identity badges and left the small world. However, after Dao Jun and Dao Tianming left the small world, the 16th small world did not send anyone out. At the moment, there were at least people from 2 territories in the small world. This result made Dao Jun and Dao Tianming completely dumbfounded. At the same time, they were also guessing who else was in the 16th small world. Clan M. Chapter 2987. However, even Supreme Yuling and Dao Wui couldn't figure it out. How could they deduce the result? Thus, Dao Jun sent a voice transmission to Dao Wui and asked, Lord Wui, who else is in the small world? Are there people from the 2 territories or more? Dao Wui said angrily before adding, this time, the Dao world's territory could be said to have set the most humiliating record in recent years. Moreover, only you and Dao Tianming survived. Both of you prepare to be punished. Dao Jun explained word by word. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been ranked 3rd and allowed a hidden territory to succeed. Dao Wui said disdainfully. Then, he ignored Dao Jun and started to discuss countermeasures with Supreme Yuling. On the other side, there were other people restraining them. After spending the 98th year in the small world, Night Sorrow successfully advanced to the middle-level sovereign realm. At the moment, the other people in the Divine World territory didn't change in their realms. However, after decades of cultivation, they had basically reached the peak of their realms. During the battle back then, she hadn't been able to help Night Sorrow and hadn't been satisfied with her strength. Thus, she had been absorbing resources to cultivate. Everyone in the Divine World territory was doing well. Night Sorrow immediately asked about the Myriad Sword Sect's situation. He still hasn't woken up, but his body has recovered. It looks like his soul was severely injured. I'm not sure how to treat it. Xiao Tianxian sighed. Let me see. He's been like this for the past few decades. Brother Wan can still be saved. As long as we break the thing binding his spirit sea, he'll wake up and recover his combat strength. At the moment, he was a living dead. Instead, it was because his deity ocean had been sealed by someone, and the power of his deity soul was completely bound within it. He was unable to use it at all. Upon hearing Night Sorrow's words, Yuan Fengshue heaved a sigh of relief. I'll try and see if I can get rid of the thing binding his spirit sea. He attacked the strange energy binding the Myriad Sword Sect's spirit sea. It's the Earth Supremacy energy binding Brother Wan's spirit sea. It's very strong and solid. I can't get rid of it. We need a stronger cultivator to do it. Or we can rely on some secret techniques to save him. Upon hearing Night Sorrow's words, everyone in the Divine World territory fell silent. I have a way to bring him here. Do you have a way? Tell me, what should I do? Doing so requires taking a risk. I wonder if you are willing to bear the consequences? Tell me, what exactly do you need to do? Night Sorrow did not answer the chaotic heavenly crystal beast's question directly. The chaotic heavenly crystal beast continued, my condition for helping you is that you give me the earthly sovereign energy. Think about it. It was impossible for Night Sorrow not to desire earthly sovereign energy. However, compared to saving the Myriad Sword Sect, he felt that it was nothing. Good. Then let's begin immediately. The earthly sovereign energy that bound his spirit sea was not inferior to the energy contained in the evil demon's sword. Anything could happen. If something happens to your friend, don't blame me. I don't blame you. After getting the answer it wanted, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast immediately unleashed the chaotic space and sucked the Myriad Sword Sect and Night Sorrow into it at the same time. Good. I will do my best. Chapter 2988. After Night Sorrow and the chaotic heavenly crystal beast launched their attack, the Myriad Swordmaster's body immediately shook. What surprised Night Sorrow and the chaotic heavenly crystal beast was that this earthly sovereign energy clearly had its own consciousness. He asked doubtfully, Did you feel it? This earthly sovereign energy seems to have its own consciousness. The chaotic heavenly crystal beast responded as it felt the resentment of the energy. Yi Shang said as he continued to use the power of his soul to attack the energy. Suddenly, he transmitted his voice. You are delusional to think that you can seize my body. You're courting death. Today, I'll make both of your souls scatter. This earthly sovereign energy was actually threatening Yi Shang, and he immediately responded angrily. The earthly sovereign's divine spirit said disdainfully. Hearing this, Night Sorrow sneered and said, Then let's see if a remnant soul like you can withstand our attack. Compared to his peak, the difference in strength was tens of thousands of times. When Night Sorrow and the chaotic heavenly crystal beast launched an even fiercer attack, the earthly sovereign's remnant soul immediately attacked them crazily. It unleashed all its remaining strength. When the earthly sovereign's remnant soul launched a crazy counterattack, Night Sorrow immediately reminded the chaotic heavenly crystal beast. What? Both of you ants have mastered a certain amount of earthly sovereign laws? How is that possible? He didn't expect that the sovereign Night Sorrow and the sovereign chaotic heavenly crystal beast would both master a certain amount of earthly sovereign laws. You'll suffer the most terrifying backlash for plotting against my friend's body. Dang! It was no match for Night Sorrow and the chaotic heavenly crystal beast at all. Not long after, the earthly sovereign's remnant soul was almost shattered. Okay. We'll spare you this time. To it, breaking through to the earthly sovereign level was its only goal. When it heard the earthly sovereign's remnant soul say so, it was immediately moved. Night Sorrow immediately berated. Don't listen to him. He's just a remnant soul that can't be any more damaged. How much can he know? Destroy him. Leave my friend's body before you say that. He felt that if he relented now, the other party would immediately take over Master Wan Jian's body. This way, he could ensure that Master Wan Jian would not be harmed in any way. It was the best choice. In the history of the Eternal Supreme World, the first person to become an Earth Supreme was the Supreme Longevity. And judging from the actions of the remnant soul in front of him, he felt that it was impossible for it to be the Supreme Longevity. Upon hearing Night Sorrow's words, the earthly sovereign's remnant soul responded and obediently left the myriad sword sex body, floating in the air as a soul. After the earthly sovereign's remnant soul left Master Wan Jianzong's body, Night Sorrow immediately put Master Wan Jianzong's body into the spatial hollow and asked him about it. As for what the other party could say, he didn't really care. The remnant soul said its name. Night Sorrow was unfamiliar with the name Evil Sword Earthly Sovereign. Many people have never heard of my name. However, I'm sure you've heard of Supreme Longevity, right? Supreme Longevity? Have you heard of Supreme Longevity? Of course he had heard of this name, and he was in awe of it. Evil Sword Earthly Sovereign continued. At that time, I was just a ray of heaven and earth sword aura in the supreme space. I happened to meet Supreme Longevity's godly soul, who was about to dissipate, and I learned the secret of becoming an earthly sovereign from him. Then, I went to the place that he mentioned to cultivate, and there, I successfully became an earthly sovereign. However, after I became an earthly sovereign, I had just killed 2 of his enemies when I was surrounded and killed by many other earthly sovereigns who had just become earthly sovereigns. Night Sorrow asked, puzzled. He didn't believe that the people from the other territories would be kind enough to leave a remnant soul for him. Evil Sword Earthly Sovereign's remnant soul continued to explain. That was because one of the earthly sovereigns thought that my evil demon sword was pretty good, so he didn't destroy it. He refined the evil demon sword and gave it to his grandson. Clan M. Chapter 2989. The remnant of my soul that I left in the evil demon sword when I was alive was left behind. After the grandson of the earthly sovereign had obtained the evil demon sword, his strength had increased by leaps and bounds and he had gained the attention of the entire territory. His grandfather did not have the heart to directly kill him. Thus, he had suppressed him in the underground palace. From then on, the remnant of Evil Sword Earthly Sovereign Soul and the sword spirit of the evil demon sword had regained control of the evil demon sword. He had summoned the myriad sword sect to help him remove the loosened seal. If what you said is true, then you are a disgrace to the Supreme Longevity. Even if the Supreme Longevity needed to be reborn, it would not do that to ordinary people. It would cause unnecessary killings. The secret to becoming an earthly sovereign lies at the end of the eternal sovereign world, which is the foggy area. You can obtain natural earthly sovereign rules and essence there. Foggy area? I've never heard of it. No. Upon hearing this, the remnant of evil sword earthly sovereign soul was speechless. The two of you have never heard of it? Are you really from the eternal sovereign world? Night Sorrow replied, then asked the others in the space hollow, have you heard of the foggy area at the end of the eternal sovereign world? Murong Zilu and the others answered one after another. After the remnant of evil sword earthly sovereign soul said that, he asked doubtfully, could it be? That area has been hidden by someone? Night Sorrow had cultivated the power of merit, so he could tell that the remnant of evil sword earthly sovereign soul was not lying. Hence, he continued to ask. The remnant of evil sword earthly sovereign soul told him what had happened to him in the foggy area. If what he had said was true, then the territories that were ranked at the top should have already left the foggy area. As for the people from the realm of the gods and other territories, unless they could find that area, it would be difficult for them to become earthly sovereigns. Night Sorrow made some deductions, but he did not come to any conclusion. Night Sorrow continued to ask, back then, you were able to hide a remnant of your soul in the evil demon sword right under the nose of an earthly sovereign. You should know a very advanced concealment technique, right? Teach it to me, and I will teach you a secret technique to strengthen your spiritual soul. I will let you recover. Upon hearing Night Sorrow's words, evil sword earthly sovereign's remnant soul immediately became excited. Night Sorrow said slowly. Evil sword earthly sovereign's remnant soul asked in confusion when Night Sorrow mentioned the name of the realm of the gods. So you're all from the celestial realm. If I'd known, I wouldn't have attacked the myriad sword sect. Isn't that letting down supreme longevity? Since it didn't result in a big mistake, then forget it. Soon, he and the chaotic heavenly crystal beast learned the concealment technique. Night Sorrow summoned everyone from the god world. But there are so many earthly sovereigns and earthly sovereigns outside. Can you hide them? Xiao Tianxian asked doubtfully. Don't worry, I've already learned a concealment technique that contains the earthly sovereign rules. Even an earthly sovereign might not be able to detect me. If we hide here, we shouldn't be discovered. But other people's memories might be found to be problematic. Don't worry. Those Supremes and Earth Supremes were extremely arrogant. He wouldn't do such a thing to a hegemon. In their eyes, those below the Supremes are ants. He knew that in the eyes of Yu Ling and the others, the hegemons of the realm of the gods could not hide any secrets. All right. The chaotic heavenly crystal beast replied. What? Recognize you as my master? No, that's absolutely not possible. Don't worry, I'll make a heavenly oath. Clan. Chapter 2990. I can temporarily recognize you as my master, but you have to give me some benefits, right? After knowing the chaotic heavenly crystal beast for a long time, Night Sorrow realized that this fellow was not as fierce as he looked. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow said, if we can deceive everyone and enter the finals, I'll give you half of my reward. We'll be considered partners. What do you think? The chaotic heavenly crystal beast immediately agreed and said, don't worry. If I can fight, I'll definitely do my best. After saying that, Night Sorrow stopped talking and waited for the teleportation to begin. The people in the Divine World territory still did not know who was left. We've already killed so many people in the Dao World territory. They shouldn't have many points left, so there's nothing to be afraid of. As for the people in the remaining territories, it's really hard to say. There must be someone with a super powerful concealment technique who has been hiding since entering the small world and hasn't made a move since the beginning. That should be the case. The hidden territories definitely don't have as many points as us. The Dao World territory definitely doesn't have any either. As for the final result, let's wait and see. Before Night Sorrow went into hiding, he had told him that the Divine World territory's points would definitely be the first in this small world. Upon realizing that Night Sorrow was no longer in the team, Supreme Yu Ling said with a smile, it seems that Night Sorrow has already been killed by self-destruction. That's why the rest of the people in the Divine World territory have been hiding. Dao Wui said unwillingly. Dao Wui, you're too much. We won't scare a Divine World territory to this extent. If Night Sorrow wasn't hiding in someone's space grotto heaven, we wouldn't have to target these small fries at all. Even if we let them enter the finals, they'll still end up dying in battle. To him, The remaining people in the Divine World territory were completely ants among ants. Dao Wui said unhappily. Then he continued, I wonder who else is left here. Supreme Yuling comforted him. The two of them waited peacefully with the rest of the self-esteem for 100 years. Under everyone's gazes, the remaining cultivators in the 16th small world were teleported out one after another. As it turned out, Blue Heart had also been assigned to the 16th small world. However, she had been lucky enough to find a concealment array formation when she entered the small world. She had hidden herself within it, and not only had she obtained some fortuitous opportunities, she had also managed to survive until the end. When Dao Jun saw Lan Xian, he was filled with anger. Dao Jun looked at the people from the heavenly realm with hatred. When he realized that Night Sorrow was no longer with them, he said angrily. When the Supreme saw that Night Sorrow was not among the God World's troops, Dao Wui immediately spoke up. Thank you, Supreme Yuling. Moreover, they clearly understood the value of Night Sorrow. When Supremacy Yuling arrived before the people of the God World, she immediately berated them coldly. Furthermore, they managed to drag out the severely injured Master of Myriad Sword. Evil Sword Earthly Sovereign's concealment technique was something he could not unravel. Xiao Tianxian spoke with great difficulty as Sovereign Yuling suppressed the crowd. As expected, he's already dead. Upon hearing this, many Supremes nodded in satisfaction. However, at that moment, Dao Wui suddenly sent a voice transmission. Supreme Yuling, I don't think this is a good idea. Why don't you use the soul-searching mystic technique on everyone in the God World territory and check on Night Sorrow's situation? Chapter 2991. What? If an expert used the soul-searching technique on them, they would be crippled even if they weren't. Supreme Yuling, look. The moment I mentioned the soul-searching technique, their faces all changed. It's obvious that they're up to something. Nonsense. Aren't you afraid of someone using the soul-searching technique on you? And how dare you speak to me like that? Are you tired of living? Supreme Yuling stared at Xiao Tianxian and the rest of the people from the God World. He had also attacked the people from the God World, but doing so in the public square was too brazen, and there was a chance that he would suffer a backlash. Therefore, he wanted to bring the people from the God World to another place and use the soul-searching technique on them. Hearing Supreme Yuling's words, how could Xiao Tianxian and the rest not understand her meaning? Xiao Tianxian immediately rejected. After Xiao Tianxian said that, Supreme Yuling's face turned cold. Since both sides had already shed all pretenses of cordiality, Xiao Tianxian could finally relax. Humph. Puny ant, what backlash can I suffer from punishing you? Supreme Yuling's words were powerful, but he still didn't dare to make a move in the public square. His face turned cold. Supreme Yuling, when we drew the lots, we agreed to deal with Night Sorrow. Now that Night Sorrow is dead, I have no obligation to do anything. Whether you want to use the soul-searching technique or other techniques, it's your own business. It has nothing to do with me. Supreme Yuling was infuriated when she heard Supreme Whitebone's words. My mission is to kill Night Sorrow, not to search for him. We can confront Limitless Earthly Sovereign about this matter. If you want to use the soul-searching technique, do it yourself. Don't use me. He had drawn the lot to kill Night Sorrow, and it was Feng Wuji's idea. Therefore, he didn't dare to go against it. Humph. He then looked at Dao Wui. You're the one who brought up the soul-searching. You'll be the one to do it. Dao Wui said with a fake smile. Since you're not willing to make a move, why did you encourage me to make a move? They didn't attack anyone from the divine world. With Supreme Yuling's departure, Dao Wui and the rest left as well. After these people left, Xiao Tianxian and the others heaved a sigh of relief. Afterward, Supreme Yuling returned to the battleship and summoned Feng Wuji to continue hosting the final battle. Feng Wuji said and continued, this is the battle between the top 32. It was different from the previous duels. Although the 32 territories would enter a small world with heaven-defying opportunities, it was still a small world. However, they would form groups of 2 and enter the 16 regions. In every region, a territory would appear and another territory would be eliminated. Even after entering the top 16, they would still encounter a fixed opponent. However, once you enter the top 8, It will be a battle royale. All right. Do you, contestants, have any questions? Most of these territories had dozens of people, but there were 8 or 9 territories that had less than 10 people left. As soon as Feng Wuji finished his sentence, one of the cultivators asked, Wuji Earthly Supreme, may I ask if we are allowed to send out supreme-level battle pets in the final battle? Feng Wuji replied coldly. After that, the contestants asked many more questions. When no one asked any more questions, Feng Wuji said, since no one has any more questions, let's start drawing lots. Every territory, send one person up. The people of the 32 territories said in unison and sent someone up to draw lots. Chapter 2992. This battle is different from the previous ones. What? The rules are the same this time? Especially the top 4 territories. Other than Feng Wuji's Jiuxian territory, everyone's expression changed. Next, let's invite Supreme Yu Ling to host the lot drawing ceremony. Then, Supreme Yu Ling said politely and began to host the drawing of lots. Although the lot drawing seemed to be fair. The moment the lot was drawn, the people from Tianshao territory and Immortal Extremity territory turned green. As for the Divine World territory, their first opponent was the Heavenly Lord territory, ranked 9th last time. Han Songzi laughed when he saw that they were going against the Divine World territory and Heavenly Lord territory. You don't have to worry about that. It was definitely not a good draw to encounter the top 10 of the previous tournament in the round of 32. But overall it was still acceptable. Han Songzi wanted to say something but was stopped by the strongest person in the Heavenly Lord territory, Jun Tianling. Fairy Yu Yan is indeed very strong. She should be the strongest person in the 4 great sacred lands. If we encounter her, we must be careful. Fairy Yu Yan was drawing lots on the battleship. The others from the Moon Shadow territory didn't seem to be too outstanding. The 32 people on the battleship returned to their teams. Woman, why is your tongue so cheap? Fairy Yu Yan sneered. If we encounter the Moon Shadow territory, I will make you lose your tongue immediately. Don't worry, we will take care of ourselves. Supreme Yu Ling, who was hosting the lot drawing, stepped down. You're not giving us time to heal? Feng Wuji sneered. It's already rare for you to have time to rest, and you still want time to heal? All of you, get in. The first 32 territories that stood together were all teleported into the small world. After entering the small world, Xiao Tianxian immediately called out Night Sorrow. Supreme Yu Ling said unhappily when she saw Yi Shang's figure on the screen. This was the first insurance. As for Dao Wui, Dao Jun, and Dao Tianming, their expressions were extremely ugly. Hee. I'm sure many people will be disappointed when they see me. His smile was very bright, and there was a hint of disdain in it. Can someone explain the rules to me? He and the chaotic heavenly crystal beast had used Evil Sword Earth Supreme's concealment technique to block all senses. After that, Murong led the way and explained everything that had happened to Yi Shang, as well as the rules and opponents of the competition. In this round of duels, the goal was to kill or eliminate all the cultivators in the opponent's territory. Yi Shang was well aware of the Immortal World's strength. Compared to the Heavenly Monarch's territory, the Immortal World's territory was definitely weaker. Clan M. Chapter 2993. Everyone in the Divine World territory discussed for a while and felt that although the Divine World territory had 2 strong points, Night Sorrow and the chaotic heavenly crystal beast, their overall strength was still much weaker than the previous 9th place Heavenly Lord territory. Among them, Jun Tianling was like Fairy Yu Yan, one of the best among the cultivators of the right age. Even Yi Shang might not be a match for him. They would only know after they fought. As for those who were about the same strength as Xiao Tianxian, there were at least 5. Let's study how to set up the array formation to defend against the enemy according to the terrain. He wanted to use the Heavenly Lord territory's underestimation of the enemy to lure them into the array formation and then slowly slaughter them. Xiao Tianxian said and sent a voice transmission to Myriad Sword Sect, who had already woken up but was very weak. After chatting for a while, Xiao Tianxian confirmed that Myriad Sword Sect had profited from a disaster this time. The strength of his body had improved a lot. This was definitely a good thing for the Divine World territory. After all, it was not a good idea to always rely on Night Sorrow to fight alone. This small world was filled with towering ancient trees. All kinds of trees were lush and covered a large area. It even looked similar to some of the mountains in the Divine World territory. However, everyone in the Divine World territory did not have the patience to cultivate. They were all thinking about how to defeat the Heavenly Lord territory. However, they did not want to give up so easily. Even if the opponent was the previous 9th place super territory. Using the sea serpent's eye to observe, Knight Sorrow, who originally thought that the two territories would meet soon, discovered that this world was far vaster than they had imagined. I think that in this kind of competition, there will usually be opportunities for everyone to fight for. Otherwise, if both sides continue to waste time, who knows how long it will take to end the battle. Especially in the final battle of the top 8, there would definitely be amazing treasures that would appear. It will cause everyone to fight for it. This was completely an inference, but it was reasonable. Xiao Tianxian, who had finished investigating Myriad Sword Sect's injuries, came back to his senses and said. Just as Xiao Tianxian was speaking, Knight Sorrow suddenly roared. These branches stretched out and looked similar to the chaotic heavenly crystal beast's attack. Therefore, he immediately took everyone in the heavenly realm into it. Knight Sorrow felt that the ancient tree in front of him was very difficult to deal with. Therefore, he didn't want to be careless and directly summoned the chaotic heavenly crystal beast. What a big guy! With a roar, it stretched out many tentacles and smashed into the endlessly extending branches. Knight Sorrow, on the other hand, did not seem to match the size of the two. He shuttled through the branches and leaves like a butterfly, avoiding the attacks of the branches and flying towards the main body of the ancient tree. Not only is this Knight Sorrow still alive, his strength has improved, and he has even tamed a 9 Heaven Supreme Beast. Ever since Knight Sorrow had appeared, his strength had been constantly increasing. The speed at which his strength was increasing made him feel very pressured. What's wrong? Do you feel that your arrangements are not thorough enough? Master Wuji. It's all right. After this battle, I will personally deal with him. We won't let him grow. The final battle that everyone was paying attention to was not very attractive in his eyes. Hearing Feng Wuji's words, Yu Ling's face immediately showed a relaxed expression. After fighting for about 4 hours, they finally shattered the ancient tree's origin and successfully killed it. Knight Sorrow said a sentence and let Myriad Sword Sect come out to absorb the ancient tree's rules and essence. After Myriad Sword Sect collected the ancient tree's rules and essence, he immediately said excitedly. Clan M. Chapter 2994. It's great that Brother Wan can recover so quickly. That's indeed possible. Man proposes, God disposes. We'll just do our best. Alright. Chaos and I will continue to fight together. You guys make arrangements for who will be the next to collect the laws and essence. After they killed this ancient tree, the one who stepped forward was Wu Lingfei. Currently, Wu Lingfei had already stabilized her intermediate sovereign realm. After collecting the ancient tree's laws and essence, she sat on the spot and started cultivating. Hence, she set up a protective formation for them. With this move, Knight Sorrow was immediately surprised. That is to say, in this world, we can only rely on cultivation to fight? Murong Guizhi asked. Knight Sorrow said and continued, you guys guard them for the time being. We'll go hunt the supreme ancient tree first. Although some of the ancient trees that had taken form around them were at the supreme level, their strength was clearly not as strong as Knight Sorrow and the Chaos Heavenly Crystal Beast. Returning to Myriad Sword Sect and Wu Lingfei's cultivation place, Knight Sorrow divided these things equally among everyone. You guys cultivate in peace. This time it's my turn to guard you. While guarding, Knight Sorrow started to ponder the spear technique, making this attack completely in line with the supreme level. After Knight Sorrow put away his spear, the Chaos Heavenly Crystal Beast asked doubtfully. This small world's vitality was completely different from the Divine World's territory. Cultivating was completely different. It was very easy for people to become intoxicated and completely forget time. The chaotic heavenly crystal beast replied. To it, 10 years was just a blink of an eye. Hearing this, Knight Sorrow was somewhat surprised. He felt that he had only cultivated for a while. Their cultivation speed is much slower than yours. Within 100 years, there shouldn't be anyone who can break through. That Myriad Sword Sect is almost recovering. You don't have to rush to search for opportunities. When Brother Juan recovers, we'll go explore together. After waiting for another 20 years, Myriad Sword Sect successfully recovered. After recovering, Myriad Sword Sect held the evil demon sword in hand and flew to Night Sorrow with a smile, greeting him. Night Sorrow used the sea serpent's eye to observe Myriad Sword Sect and found that his strength had increased a lot. My physical strength increase has a lot to do with the evil demon sword. It's in my space grotto heaven. Leave it to me. Myriad Sword Sect nodded and said, I already know that you spared his life, so I won't attack him. Don't worry. Yi Shang summoned Evil Sword Earthly Sovereign's remnant soul and handed it to the Myriad Sword Sect. Night Sorrow had taught him the Star Soul secret Star Earth, so he could recover on his own. After Evil Sword Earthly Sovereign was summoned, Master Wan Jian pointed his sword at him. Evil Sword Earthly Sovereign sighed and tapped the evil demon's sword with his fingertip. From now on In the future, this sword will not be called the evil demon's sword, but the heaven-cleaving sword. Hehe. The opponent was the territory of a celestial immortal, so it was called Immortal Slaying Sword. Brother Yi knows me best. I do have such thoughts. Firstly, he wanted to look for opportunities. Secondly, he wanted to find out the location of the people in the Heaven Monarch's territory. Wait for an opportunity to strike at them. If anything happens, use the voice transmission stone to call me immediately. If we really can't handle it, we'll put everyone into the space paradise. Master Wan Jian raised the heaven-severing sword in his hand and said. Night Sorrow nodded and looked at the chaotic heavenly crystal beast. Shrink a little. We'll go look for opportunities immediately. Chapter 2995. All right. I can finally go out and stretch my muscles. I wonder if there are any earthly supreme-level treasures in this small world. After guarding the people of the divine realm for decades, it felt very bored. Night Sorrow glanced at the chaotic heavenly crystal beast and said speechlessly, absorbing earthly sovereign rules and essence will increase my strength much faster. My foundation will be more solid, and my achievements will be higher. My enemy is very powerful, so I must be very strong in order to take revenge successfully. The chaotic heavenly crystal beast explained. When Night Sorrow heard this, he felt a trace of sympathy for the chaotic heavenly crystal beast. Night Sorrow brought it along and left the place where the people of the divine realm were and headed into the distance. Night Sorrow and the chaotic heavenly crystal beast had both absorbed a lot of earthly sovereign rules and essence, so they were not very interested in these things. About half a year later, Night Sorrow and the chaotic heavenly crystal beast walked out of the towering ancient forest. In the depths of the beach was a pale green ocean. However, in the middle of the ocean was an ancient tower that towered into the clouds. The chaotic heavenly crystal beast looked at the ancient tower and said, So it's a phantom. Is this something like a mirage? Then, he led the chaotic heavenly crystal beast and flew toward the earthly supreme level illusory pagoda. Eternal Divine Tower? It's obviously not an ordinary item with eternal in its name. He didn't know if an earthly sovereign like Feng Wuji had an earthly sovereign artifact, but although the one in front of him was a phantom, he knew that it was definitely a genuine earthly sovereign artifact. The chaotic heavenly crystal beast asked doubtfully after circling the eternal divine tower in front of him. Wait a little longer. However, just as Night Sorrow began to observe, he heard a roar from afar. When he saw Night Sorrow, Han Songzi immediately roared, You brat, so you're not dead yet. Hearing Han Songzi's roar, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast immediately roared in disdain. That's right. He's from the divine realm, so I naturally won't let him off. Do I dare to fight you? Looks like you're extremely confident in your own strength. I can't say that I'm extremely confident, but it's more than enough to deal with you. I hope you still have the courage to do so in a few breaths' time. After instructing his subordinates, he flew into the air and threw a punch at Night Sorrow. 3-1 Quick Update. These golden lights quickly surrounded Night Sorrow and wrapped him into a cocoon. Young Master Ling Tian said in disdain when he saw Night Sorrow trapped in the cocoon. Night Sorrow smiled. Similarly, he didn't use any divine weapons. Instead, he threw out a punch that contained earthly sovereign rules and shattered the cocoon. The spear light from the reincarnation spear immediately slashed toward young Master Ling Tian. Something. Young Master Ling Tian smiled and took out a blood-red saber. After he took out the 100-battle saber, he immediately slashed 3 times into the void. And Night Sorrow's countless spear lights were directly absorbed by the cracks in the void. It looked a little strange. What move is this? It was a little worried that Night Sorrow would lose to young Master Ling Tian in front of it. He used his movement technique and directly dodged these cracks. In the process of being chased by the cracks, he once again struck at young Master Ling Tian. Facing this enemy from the heavenly monarch realm, he didn't want to waste his energy. Chapter 2996. Lightning Reincarnation Spear? This is your spear art? I don't think so. Night Sorrow's lightning reincarnation spear had definitely reached the level of returning to its original state. Its energy was very restrained, and the lightning it shot out didn't look wild. Night Sorrow, who was holding the golden heavenly halberd, mocked. At the same time, he formed a seal with his left hand and set up a divine origin trapping formation, locking young Master Ling Tian in it. Night Sorrow was now an intermediate dominator, but his true strength was about the same as an intermediate supremacy. As a result, the divine origin trapping formation had become very powerful. When the lightning reincarnation spear hit the divine origin trapping formation, it immediately hit young Master Ling Tian's chest. However, Night Sorrow's lightning reincarnation spear smashed a big hole in his chest, and the golden heavenly halberd pierced into his chest. After Night Sorrow's golden heavenly halberd pierced into his chest, young Master Ling Tian immediately let out a beast-like roar. Then, the golden light started to heal young Master Ling Tian's wounds. Bastard! How dare you hurt me? You're courting death. However, he obviously couldn't say that he was almost killed because he felt that he couldn't afford to lose face. After this battle pet was summoned, it immediately let out a long roar. Seeing young Master Ling Tian summon his battle pet, Han Songzi of the Heaven Monarch territory immediately said doubtfully, "All right. Everyone, get ready to attack. If young Master falls into a passive state again, we'll take action immediately." He knew clearly that if Yi Shang killed young Master Ling Tian, then all of them would be slowly slaughtered. After Han Songzi finished speaking, everyone in the Heaven Monarch territory entered a state of readiness. After young Master Ling Tian summoned his battle pet, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast detected the movements of the others in the Heaven Monarch territory and reminded Night Sorrow to be careful. Night Sorrow replied to the chaotic heavenly crystal beast and started to fight with young Master Ling Tian and his Earth Dragon battle pet. The two of them cooperated and attacked together, and Night Sorrow was a little strenuous to deal with. No need. Although I used my strongest technique, I didn't use all my abilities. The current situation seems dangerous, but it's actually not. I'm preparing a sure kill technique. Young Master Ling Tian and his Earth Dragon battle pet had gone all out. Even so, Ling Tian and his Earth Dragon battle pet were still unable to do anything to Night Sorrow. All they could do was suppress him. At this point of the battle, Yi Shang thought to himself. Therefore, Night Sorrow had a rough understanding of his own strength. At this moment, he was almost certain that he should be ranked in the top 10 in this year's Battle of Providence, but definitely not in the top 4. The current him was still not comparable to those freaks from the 4 great holy lands. At most, he could only fight Fairy Yuan. At this moment, young Master Ling Tian, who had been continuously suppressing Night Sorrow, was completely enraged. You still haven't realized that you're no match for me? At the same time, he unleashed the 33 Heavens battle secret technique and directly raised his strength to his strongest state. Young noble Ling Tian, who had originally wanted to challenge Night Sorrow to a duel, realized that Night Sorrow still had some strength left. His eyes narrowed as he let out a roar. Night Sorrow! Although you're very strong, it should be difficult for you to face so many opponents head-on. Let's run. It's okay. Even if I have to leave, I have to deal with this young Master Ling Tian first. While shouting the reincarnation spear technique, Night Sorrow's body immediately merged with the golden heavenly halberd. Oh no! Dragon 2, save me! At this moment, his Earth Dragon battle pet suddenly stood in front of him and used its body to block Night Sorrow's attack. Young Master Ling Tian, who was hit by the aftershock, was also severely injured. However, at this moment, The other heavenly lord's attacks were all aimed at him. Chapter 2997. Everyone in the Heaven Monarch territory, including Han Songzi and Bao Qing-shan, was much weaker than young Master Ling Tian. However, the people in the Heaven Monarch territory obviously knew how to attack together. This time, we probably won't be able to kill young Master Ling Tian. Han Dan, let's go. Young Master, what should we do? Should we chase after him? Chase. Of course. No matter where he escapes, I'll kill him. He had almost been killed twice in the battle with Night Sorrow. Uncontrollable anger and jealousy towards Night Sorrow rose in his heart. Seeing that young Master Ling Tian wasn't seriously injured, Han Songzi immediately said. Then, he and Bao Qing-shan each led a team and entered the illusion of the Eternal Divine Tower. Yes. Young Master. What's going on with this Eternal Divine Tower? This Eternal Divine Tower is an illusion. There are a total of 33 levels. You can obtain some earthly supreme laws for every level you pass. If you pass all 33 levels, you can enter the real body of the Eternal Divine Tower. Yes, young Master. Yes. Compared to other territories, the people in the Heaven Monarch territory were like family soldiers. They completely obeyed young Master Ling Tian's orders. The Holy Spirit guarding the first level was only a lower-level sovereign. Night Sorrow killed it in a few breaths' time. This is the earthly supreme laws and essence. There's such a good thing. Looks like this is an opportunity brought by the Eternal Divine Tower. After absorbing the earthly supreme laws and essence, Night Sorrow used the sea serpent's eye to look into the distance. He immediately saw the people in the Heaven Monarch territory. He immediately said, "Let's enter the next level. The people in the Heaven Monarch territory are already chasing after us. If we absorb enough of the earthly sovereign's precepts and essence, we will be able to resist their combined attacks. Who knows, we might be able to finish them off in this pagoda." The chaotic heavenly crystal beast said and advanced towards the second level with Night Sorrow. There were many sovereign beasts on the second level, but Night Sorrow and the chaotic heavenly crystal beast completely ignored them. They relied on their speed to shake them off. After encountering the Holy Spirit on the second level, Night Sorrow directly used the Thunder Reincarnation Spear and killed it instantly because of his previous experience. Young Master Ling and the others behind him kept chasing, but they couldn't catch up. Good. It seems that this is the only way. After young noble Ling Tian kept everyone in his spatial paradise, he immediately executed a secret technique to raise his speed to the maximum. Seeing young noble Ling Tian chasing after him, Night Sorrow immediately understood what was going on. All right. Yi Shuang put Ling Tian into his spatial grotto heaven and used the void transition technique to increase the distance between him and young Master Ling Tian. After chasing for another 3 levels, he gave up completely. After he finished speaking, young Master Ling Tian entered Han Songzi's spatial paradise to rest and adjust his state of mind. As for Night Sorrow, he didn't feel tired at all and continued climbing. Sigh. It's a pity that we won't be able to obtain any of the opportunities within the Eternal Divine Tower. Bao Qing-shan was also unwilling to give up. He said unhappily, "When we catch up to them, we'll kill them and take back all the treasures. I don't believe that the two of them can defeat so many of us." Han Songzi couldn't help but sigh as he recalled his encounter with Night Sorrow in the square. Chapter 2998. After Han Songzi said this, Bao Qing-shan's brows immediately revealed a look of surprise. "What are the two of you panicking for? I've fought with him before, and I'm still fine." Following that, Han Songzi and Bao Qing-shan immediately fell silent. The two of them were afraid of angering young Master Ling Tian. Supreme Yu Ling said with a displeased look. The battle for Providence this time had just begun and she had been paying attention to Night Sorrow. Beside him Supreme Whitebone said, "I don't think so. I heard that Supreme Longevity is clearly much more domineering compared to this Night Sorrow. He definitely won't escape. After all, he didn't escape until he died in battle back then." Hearing Supreme Whitebone's words, Supreme Yu Ling nodded. "Limitless Earth Supreme, how did you deduce that? Based on the fact that he escaped from the battle just now?" "No. What? This Night Sorrow can obtain such great achievements? How is that possible? They felt that this matter was very difficult for them to accept. Feng Wuji said and continued, if nothing goes wrong, he will come to settle the grudges back then. Supreme Yuling looked at Feng Wuji with doubt between her brows. It's White Bone's fault. It's too late to admit your mistake now. After Feng Wuji had completely left, Supreme Yuling glared at Supreme White Bone coldly and said, it's all your fault. Great, that night's sorrow has risen. Supreme White Bone was very humble in front of Feng Wuji, but when he looked at Supreme Yuling, it was clearly different. Humph. At this moment, Supreme Yuling was not in the mood to continue messing around with Supreme White Bone at all. Her pair of dark eyes stared coldly at Night Sorrow. Yes. The other supreme beings didn't say anything else. Their gazes were fixed on Yi Shang. While everyone in the outside world was paying attention, Night Sorrow had already entered the 22nd level with the chaotic heavenly crystal beast. Although Night Sorrow and the chaotic heavenly crystal beast erupted right away, they did not kill him quickly. Haha. Night Sorrow, I've finally caught up to you. You weren't Night Sorrow's match to begin with. Now that he has absorbed a large amount of the earthly sovereign's precepts and essence, even if you join forces with the others, you won't be his match. Not only did he not escape, he even pursued relentlessly. Isn't that stupid? He was Jun Tianling's uncle, and his heart was in his throat. He ordered everyone in the Heaven Monarch territory to prepare for the attack. Everyone in the Heaven Monarch's territory had already started to prepare for the attack. Night Sorrow naturally couldn't ignore it. Give it your all and cooperate with me to kill him. Thunder Reincarnation Spear. After the Thunder Reincarnation Spear was shot out, it immediately clashed with the attacks of the Heaven Monarchs. Moreover, the aftermath of the attack sent all the cultivators in the Heavenly Monarch's territory flying. What's going on? How did this Night Sorrow become so strong? However, after Night Sorrow's attack, the confidence in their hearts was completely shattered. Night Sorrow and the territory of the God Realm are not something you can insult. You don't have the qualifications to make me recognize you as my master. Seeing that Night Sorrow's attack could not be avoided at all, Han Songzi immediately begged for mercy. Night Sorrow said disdainfully and continued to stab at Han Songzi. At this moment, Han Songzi woke up from his dream and took out his identity token, wanting to crush it immediately. Seeing that Han Songzi was so useless, young Master Ling Tian immediately roared in dissatisfaction. Clan M. Chapter 2999. Young Master. As you can see, if I don't crush my identity token, I will be killed the next moment. Isn't that blind loyalty? Although he would be scolded for doing so, he felt that it was worth it to save his life. At this moment, Night Sorrow suddenly took out the secret treasure he obtained from the Myriad Sword Sect and used it on Han Songzi. It didn't completely freeze Han Songzi on the spot, but only slightly delayed his movements. As Night Sorrow sighed, the golden heavenly halberd pierced through Han Songzi's chest and shattered his dantian. In that instant, he was sent out of the small world by a ray of light. Although his dantian was shattered, his soul was still intact. Seeing that Han Songzi was still alive, Night Sorrow said regretfully. Young Master Ling, who was originally full of confidence, suddenly realized a problem. The Heavenly Monarch's territory might fail miserably today and lose to the insignificant Divine World's territory. To him, this was the greatest humiliation. The originally arrogant young Master Ling's words of encouragement became much gentler. Yes, young Master. At this moment, young Master Ling ordered, use a joint attack. I'm not his opponent, but he definitely won't be able to defeat us if we work together. After this attack, a long dragon formed from energy immediately appeared in the void. Night Sorrow's attack is very powerful. Do you need my help? I want to see the consequences of taking this attack head-on. If I'm seriously injured, you can help me defeat them. The cultivators in the Heavenly Monarch's territory are all exhausted and have no strength to resist. He suddenly used the strengthened version of the Lightning Reincarnation Spear. The reason for this was because the joint attack from the Heavenly Monarch's territory was too powerful. You still dare to take it head-on? Die! In his opinion, Night Sorrow was seeking death by taking on so many people head-on. As Night Sorrow replied, he suddenly collided with young Master Ling and the rest's attack. After the two attacks collided, the void immediately exploded. The joint attack from the Heavenly Monarch's territory was indeed not simple. After exchanging blows, apart from young noble Ling Tian and Bao Qing who were still standing in their original positions, the rest of them were all swaying left and right. The only reason young noble Ling Tian and Bao Qing were able to remain standing was because their defensive armors had been destroyed, and most of the attacks had been dissipated. His gaze became illusory, as if he could not accept the fact that Night Sorrow was so powerful. Young master, we're no match for him. Let's crush our identity plates and run. After all, this is only a battle for karmic luck. There's no need for us to choose to die in battle. At the same time, he had already grabbed the identity plate in his hand. Young Master Ling Tian's shoulders were trembling non-stop as he gritted his teeth and spoke word by word. Young master, it's not scary to lose. We can always make a comeback. However, he could not stop young Master Ling Tian at all. As the black aura continued to emerge, his eyes turned completely dark red, and his lips turned greenish-black. Has he entered the demonic path on the spot? Night Sorrow, I'm no match for you today. But the next time we meet, I will directly kill you. That won't be too long. I thought you would choose to fight with me after you entered the demonic path. Chapter 3000. Night Sorrow's gaze swept across the rest of the people in the Heaven Monarch territory, who were scared out of their wits. Upon seeing this, Night Sorrow, who was floating in the void, smiled slightly and did not attack. In the previous exchange, he had obviously suffered more damage than young Master Ling Tian and the rest of the people in the Heaven Monarch territory. He no longer had the ability to kill his opponent. Supreme Tianxiang, who was watching from the outside, could not help but sigh. It seems that Jun Tianling and Night Sorrow are not only different in strength, but also in an indomitable aura. Night Sorrow was clearly exhausted, while Jun Tianling still had the strength to fight. However, the result was that Jun Tianling and everyone in the Heaven Monarch territory were scared away. Sigh. Who said it wasn't? I was so close to losing my life. How infuriating. Perhaps this is providence. They felt that it was acceptable that the Tao world's territory was eliminated by Night Sorrow. Providence. Even if he has providence, he will definitely die. No matter how powerful he is, can he withstand the attack of an Earth Sovereign? Given the strength of the Divine World's territory, it would definitely not be able to protect him. They felt that with an Earth Sovereign attacking, Night Sorrow would definitely not have a chance to counterattack. They could only watch the battle between the chaotic Heavenly Crystal Beast and the 22nd level. Although this energy was not an Earth Sovereign's law and essence, it was very pure Heaven-Earth origin energy and quickly recovered. His cultivation level also increased steadily, and he was one step closer to becoming an upper-level ruler. If this is not the reward for clearing the level, then this is the reward for eliminating the Heaven Monarch territory, right? At this moment, Yi Shang didn't know that when they defeated the Heavenly Lord's territory, a sealed door had opened. Night Sorrow, quick! Come and help me. This sacred spirit is not easy to deal with. He had already transformed into his original form, but he was still not the sacred spirit's match. I didn't expect this sacred spirit to become stronger as it fights. At the moment, the battle had developed into a one-sided situation. Trespassers, die! How dare you be fierce in front of me? Then, he formed a seal with his left hand and suddenly slapped the sacred spirit. With a bang, the sacred spirit was sent flying. After it rose to its feet, it furiously enlarged its body. When it was 30 meters tall, it unexpectedly let out a long howl at Night Sorrow. Not good. My divine soul should not be able to withstand this blow. It will definitely suffer heavy injuries. However, Night Sorrow, who originally thought that his soul would be severely damaged, discovered that his soul wasn't damaged at all. He didn't even realize it himself. The Holy Spirit's expression immediately changed when it saw that Night Sorrow wasn't seriously injured by this attack. When Night Sorrow saw the expression on the Holy Spirit's face, he immediately understood that it no longer had any ability. The development of the battle was similar to what Night Sorrow had expected. Very quickly, it was completely destroyed. After completely absorbing the earthly supreme laws and essence of this level's reward, Knight Sorrow's cultivation level wasn't far from that of a higher ruler. The chaotic heavenly crystal beast asked after sharing the earthly sovereign law and essence with Knight Sorrow. We've only just entered the eternal divine tower, so there's no need to rush. Go through the levels here with peace of mind and choose to leave when you encounter an opponent you can't fight. The 23rd level's guardian sacred spirit was slightly weaker than the 22nd levels, but as the levels increased, the sacred spirit's strength gradually surpassed the 22nd level's sacred spirit and completely shook it off. Clan M. Chapter 3001. The 30th level's Holy Spirit was a crystal-clear green jade lion. This jade lion looked charmingly naive, but it was very powerful in battle. Knight Sorrow judged that it had already surpassed the supremacy stage. It had vaguely reached the half-step earthly supreme level, and the earthly supreme laws and essence that it had mastered were stronger than his and the chaotic heavenly crystal beasts. After fighting for about 15 minutes, Knight Sorrow put away the chaotic heavenly crystal beast and gave up on fighting it to the death. He knew that he wouldn't be able to gain any advantage if he continued fighting. This jade lion is really scary. If not for your amazing speed, we would have been killed. If only I had its strength, I would be one step closer to revenge. After escaping from the 30th level, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast suddenly spoke. But no matter how strong it is, it has no freedom. It's better to become the eternal divine tower's master than to become it. Knight Sorrow said with a smile. However, just as he finished speaking, he was attacked by lightning. The endless thunderbolts suddenly smashed down like raindrops, scaring the chaotic heavenly crystal beast to the point that it almost choked. Looks like I can't talk nonsense? Knight Sorrow, who was resisting the lightning attacks with all his might, murmured softly, and quietly waited for the lightning to disappear. To Knight Sorrow's and the chaotic heavenly crystal beast's surprise, the lightning in front of them actually lasted for a full year. After the lightning stopped, Knight Sorrow couldn't help but sigh and say, "This eternal divine tower is indeed mysterious. Looks like its master must be some big shot." Yeah, let's not talk about it casually anymore. The chaotic heavenly crystal beast said warily. Although the lightning just now didn't cause a destructive blow to Knight Sorrow, the torture of a year clearly made him anxious. How would the chaotic heavenly crystal beast dare to talk nonsense? Let's not talk about it anymore. We should also return and see the others. Knight Sorrow nodded and brought the chaotic heavenly crystal beast back to the area where everyone in the divine world territory cultivated. Knight Sorrow, you're back. What did you encounter when you went out? Seeing Knight Sorrow return, the myriad sword sect, who was guarding the others, immediately flew into the air and greeted him. Yes, I went through a battle and even passed through some checkpoints. Knight Sorrow opened his mouth and shared some of his experiences with the Wan Jian sect. Hearing this, Master Wan Jian raised his eyebrows and said in surprise, "Really? So what you're saying is that we've already entered the top 16? If we can take another step forward, then we will create the best record in the history of the divine world. Let's hope I can improve further." However, our next opponent is very likely to be the Moon Shadow Estate that was ranked 5th in the previous tournament. They should not be easy to deal with. At the mention of the Moon Shadow Estate, Knight Sorrow immediately thought of that arrogant fairy Yuan. He thought to himself, "I said that there will be a battle between us." Hearing Knight Sorrow's words, Master Wan Jian sighed and said, "Knight Sorrow, it's good that you're strong, but you're always shouldering everything on your own shoulders. The pressure is too great. Try not to do this in the future." "Don't worry. The Moon Shadow Estate is extremely powerful. With my strength alone, I should not be able to defeat it. If we want to make history, everyone must fight together with all their might." When Knight Sorrow said this, he looked at the Chaos Heavenly Crystal Beast. "Don't worry, I'll do my best to help you all." The Chaos Heavenly Crystal Beast immediately responded, indicating that he would not be a deserter. Then Knight Sorrow continued, "Oh right, Brother Wan. How's their cultivation going? Although you haven't been there for many years, their strength has already undergone tremendous changes. One of the main reasons for this is that you defeated the Heavenly Lord Estate and let everyone obtain the Heaven and Earth Origin Energy reward. According to my observations, if nothing unexpected happens, our Divine World Estate will soon have no middle-level sovereigns." Master Wan Jian said with a smile. He could confirm that everyone in the Divine World Estate who was cultivating should be able to advance to upper-level sovereign or stronger. Your words might not be too accurate. I'm clearly dragging them down. If they don't obtain any fortuitous encounters, they shouldn't be able to advance in a short time. After Master Wan Jian finished speaking, Knight Sorrow said with a smile. Through his observations, he also discovered that everyone in the Divine World Estate, including Wu Lingfei, had their strength greatly improved. But judging for a bit, he felt that he should not advance quickly. Your strength can no longer be measured by realm. Don't be modest. Master Wan Jian said, then continued. That's right, Brother Yi. After I recovered, I didn't experience any battles. Why don't we spar so that I can understand my own strength better? Sure. Since we have nothing to do, let's win a round. Knight Sorrow nodded in agreement, then got the Chaos Heavenly Crystal Beast to help look after the people in the Divine World Estate. He and Master Wan Jian went above the void and had a spar. After returning from the spar, Master Wan Jian sighed helplessly and said, I originally thought that my strength had already become very strong, but I'm still so far away from you. You're really a blow to me. Brother Wan, although your strength can't compare to young Master Ling Tian, it's not much different. I think you can already rank in the top 50 of this year's War of Providence, so don't sigh. Really? I just fought with you and lost so miserably, and I can actually still rank in the top 50? Ranking in the top 50 of all the contestants, this kind of result, Master Wan Jian did not expect at all. Hearing Knight Sorrow finish, he asked in surprise. It's true. Why would I lie to you? Knight Sorrow nodded. He indeed did not lie. Obtaining the evil demon sword, or rather the heaven-cleaving sword, Master Wan Jian was like a tiger that had grown wings. Now, his strength already had a qualitative improvement. That's great. Counting it like this, I can definitely help in the battle with the Moon Shadow Estate. In the recent battles, I didn't contribute at all, really a little embarrassed. Master Wan Jian stroked the sword in his hand and said, Don't worry, the opportunity to fight won't be lacking. Knight Sorrow said, just in time to see Jin Xian, who was in the middle of cultivation, suddenly advance to upper-level sovereign level. He, whose cultivation was originally the lowest, finally broke away from the fate of being at the bottom at this moment. The aura here is really too suitable for cultivation. If I continue to cultivate here, I think I should be able to cultivate to the peak of the sovereign level very soon. After successfully avoiding the lightning tribulation, Jin Xian came to Knight Sorrow and Master Wan Jian's side and sighed emotionally. Then he asked, How are the others? What happened all these years? The others haven't changed much, but everyone's strength has increased by a lot. Master Wan Jian looked at Jin Xian and said, Also, Brother Yi has eliminated the Heavenly Lord Estate with his own strength. We've already entered the top 16. Really? Does this mean we've made history? Jin Xian asked excitedly. At this moment Knight Sorrow said, Yes, it does. But to really rewrite history, we have to defeat the Moon Shadow Estate. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.